I mean, we have these stages as parents. Like you did everything for them for so long, and then they go off to college, and like that's the big first step, right? That they're out of the house but they're still reliant on you. And then when they get a job and they're less reliant, but they still call you when things go wrong. And then they get married, and now they have this other person that they can call instead of you. And so I think for a lot of parents, that's a very hard thing, because that's kind of like, I don't want to say the last step of letting go, but it is a big thing because you're no longer the go-to person. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I know that he has a go-to person that is going to totally take care of him, and she makes him happy. Like, that's the most important. Okay, she's already laughing,
No,
but
that's
we're going to
making
start
me
this
okay.
way. We're going to
Okay.
start because she got a message about Broccoli Rob, and they spelt Rob with R-O-B, like
and now I'm
her
wondering,
dad's name.
was he trying to make a joke like, oh, is it a special dish like broccoli a la Rob? Like, I don't know, like that's why I giggled in the beginning. Sorry, it's a stupid thing, but it
Okay,
makes me
here we
laugh.
go. Here we go. We're leaving this in because why not? So,
Guess what, Mom?
guess what?
Your son's getting married, and
Yeah.
wait, don't tell me. I have the day. I literally have the countdown on my phone.
And
Wait.
this is, I have a question. I have a question. So, as a parent, is it something that you embrace or that you freak out about that your child is getting married?
Okay.
We'll start with that.
Yeah. And that's an interesting talking point. Jacob's getting married in 14 days. He's already legally married, though. Like, they're funky. They're a weird situation. But this is like the wedding. Like, he is walking down the. Well, did they walk down? The grooms walked down. I've never been to a wedding before.
No. Oh,
Fun fact.
Really?
Well, I've been to an Indian wedding.
The
Very
groom
different.
stands there and the bride
Well,
walks
how does he
down
get
the aisle.
there?
Well, he has to walk.
Okay,
to
so you're
begin with.
telling me
Oh
he
my
walks down the
gosh.
aisle.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So, okay, let's go back to this. Like, so do you?
Is it something to embrace?
Yeah, is it something to embrace? Like,
here's
for
your
me,
follow-up question.
Okay, go.
How is him getting married any different than what your life was before? Except that you have, a daughter-in-law now officially instead of just, my son's girlfriend.
Oh, I think it makes my life better.
It makes my life better. Yeah, but what would be the interpretation where you get stressed about letting go? Would it be, you're worried about aging, you're worried that time is flying too fast, you're worried because, like, Jacob he's unk age, bro. Like, he's approaching 30 rapidly. And like, he's been out of the house for a bit and a half, and he's been financially independent for not a bit and a half, but a bit. Yeah, not the half part. So like, what really, I guess, changes in this situation when your kid gets married? I think, like, I would love to have a conversation with someone that A, doesn't approve of their kid's partner, and B, is like really anti the idea of their kid getting married, because you see the stories online and such. I think like the situation here is we love the girl, and even if we like
love the girl,
weren't totally obsessed with her, she's not a bad person. I think if she was a bad person, obviously different situation, but she loves him, and like, that's the important part. And I think that's the key to celebration, is that you found someone that loves your son as much or more than you do.
Yeah, I think you have to take a step back as a parent. I mean, this is my thought process, is that people that think, oh, my child can never date someone like that, right? And I mean, obviously there are situations that are quite negative, right? When, I mean, I don't even want to go in that direction.
Like, we don't need to like dive into that. But yes, there are going to be situations where it's like, why would my kid ever date that person? But
if your child is happy, it doesn't have to be the person that you have chosen for them or that you would have chosen for them. If they're happy, and the way I look at it is, does that person make my child a better person?
Mm-hmm.
That's what matters to me.
And
she absolutely makes him a better person. Not that he wasn't great to begin with, in case he listens to this, which he won't, but still.
Yeah.
I think that idea of it's not my choice, just like it wasn't my parents' choice for who I married. And sometimes, they say, oh, you marry someone just like your dad. And I don't see that. I see that
Wait, that's crazy, because Jack and Dad are very like my boyfriend and Dad. I feel like they share a lot of like just like personality similarities.
Well, I mean, you're attracted to what you're comfortable with. Not that you're attracted to your dad. Okay, that's gross.
It's just like the way that yes, but you like what you know.
Yeah. And so I think that, but a lot of times as parents, we struggle with, oh, is this the right choice? It's their choice. It's not my choice.
Marriage is a really hard thing, like statistically when you look at it, because it's like, oh, well, like, are they making the right choice? Because 50% of the people in the world aren't.
It might be even higher.
Well, I have thoughts on that. First of all, I think people older than me, not your generation, but people older than me, like in between us.
Yes, I'm really old.
Well, I wanted to say like millennial. You're really not that old. Okay. First of all, you want to see old? Like, is that what you're like? Kidding. I think people older than me didn't take marriage that seriously, or divorce became more normalized, but at the same time, people were still getting told who to marry by their parents. So that's, I feel like, why people were just like, oh, shoot, it's time to get married. I'm at the age in my life where I get married, when there shouldn't be like a set age for that. That's like, you find love when you find love, like whether that's like 65 or 25.
I think the age is, people are waiting until later now to get married. I mean, obviously, if you look historically, years ago, people got married very, very young.
Yeah.
And now, are you good with your hair?
Yeah, I'm just making sure that I don't look like Pippi Longstocking.
Oh, okay.
That was the only reference I could make. It's not even a good Pippi Longstocking
she's
reference.
She's adjusting her hat and her hair, and I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? But anyways, so the idea of when you get married matters. Now, again, historically, so much of it was about having children.
Yeah.
And you had to be a certain age because of your egg situation.
Guess what? You don't even have to do that anymore. You can be like 40 plus and having eggs with IVF.
Yeah, it's just a lot
I think
more,
even 50 plus.
More work. Yeah,
well, obviously it's a lot more work in life, but we aren't constrained by like, I'm not losing my childbearing years are now behind me. Like, what?
I don't hear anybody saying that anymore.
Thank God. Well, I mean, if someone heard, like, girl, I can do way more than just have a child.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, I think that the world has changed drastically in expectations and of women, and also understanding kind of changed. But I think when it comes to,
well, I think what changed is that women started to like form a coalition of speaking out against for us. Like, and that's that, and obviously, like, I'm not going to say like men and societal behavior has not changed. Obviously it's gotten way, way better, but we as women made the choice to like, we're not putting up with this bullshit anymore. Like, yeah, you like, your great grandparents, even if they hated each other, they weren't getting divorced because of that's how society is. But now if my husband is, beating me, it's, or even just being incredibly neglectful to me, I can make the choice to, have the divorce. And women didn't have that choice before. It wasn't something that women could initiate.
Or even if you're just not happy.
Yeah.
Right? And
that's the important part too.
Historically,
that wasn't a reason for leaving. Even in some states, it's still not like a reason for leaving is not just because you're unhappy.
But I think that is such an important piece. And I think that's why I say kids, but I think younger people are waiting longer because they want to make sure that they're happier. And I don't know. I mean, I think we're yet to see if it's going to affect the divorce rate, but I think for now, it is affecting the marriage rate. And definitely people are staying single for a lot longer and trying to figure out what they really want. I mean, I was a kid when I got married. I mean, you were literally a kid. I was 21 when I got married. He was 30.
Well, and I say this, like, I've been in a relationship. We've almost been dating for 3 years. I'm still so far from the concept of marriage, and I'm 22.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to sneeze.
Sorry. I think we're like, we're talking about marriage. I think that, like, for me, marriage is something that comes after I'm completely stable in my life. Like, I'm still in school. I don't have a job. I have no clue where my permanent residency is back in Florida, and I haven't lived here for more than a year at a time since 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I think
or more than a couple months at a time.
The fact that we have stayed married and we will stay married. I mean, we're happily married. But the idea that at 21, I had no clue what I wanted. I mean, it took me a long time.
Okay, so what's your secret then? Communication?
Communication. You just keep going. I mean, trust me, there were plenty of hard times, But, and again, I always say this, my secret is that neither one of us well, we both didn't want to get divorced at the same time, right? There are times that we struggled in our relationship, but it wasn't like we were both throwing in the towel. It was kind of like one person was always willing to put in the work.
I also think like people forget that like relationships, they come easy at some point. Some points are so easy, and at some point it's like, holy crap, this was actually a pain in my life. Like, this is not bringing me as much joy. It's bringing me more work. But like, they aren't just, I don't know. Nothing in life is easy.
The honeymoon phase, right? There's the honeymoon phase for a reason, right? It's like everything is fantastic. This is just great. And then issues start coming in, whether it's work or financial or having kids. Like it changes everything. A baby changes everything, right? So if you really start thinking about it, you've got to be willing to, someone always has to be willing to put in the work to keep a relationship going. And most relationships that I know that have failed, it's someone gave up and therefore it ended, whether it was there was another person or financial things just got about out of control. But it's as soon as you start giving up, then it's very hard to move forward. Now, Ken, again, we're supposed to be focusing on not divorce here, but on marriage itself.
In general.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like as a parent, I just want my kids to be happy, right? Like that is the ultimate goal, is to, and I feel like your dad and I model a good relationship. I mean, again, we have our struggles. We don't really fight so much. Sometimes we'll like really, really annoyed with each other in front of you guys.
I don't think I've ever seen you guys. No, not like fight.
No. I mean, we really
sometimes you go, Rob.
That's my version of fighting. Like, you know, we will get annoyed at each other, right? I mean, that's part of life. When you're living with a human full time, you are gonna say.
Yeah, I don't know how only children get married, honestly, because you've never had to like learn to share. I know that's like stupid, but like, could you imagine if like I had never learned how to share a bathroom and then all of a sudden I get to college or I get to moving in with my boyfriend and then I have to share a bathroom all of a sudden? Like,
you see people that struggle with that they don't know how to, and I'd be curious to know. I don't know, and if you want to look it up, you can. But is divorce rate higher in single or only children versus children from a big family, or does it even matter?
Yeah.
But you know, I think a lot of parents have a hard time of that idea of letting go, right? I mean, we have these stages as parents, like your kid, you do everything for them for so long, and then they go off to college, and like that's the big first step, right? That they're out of the house but they're still reliant on you. And then when they get a job and they're less reliant, but they still call you when things go wrong. And then they get married and now they have this other person that they can call instead of you. And so I think for a lot of parents, that's a very hard thing, because that's kind of like, I don't want to say the last step of letting go, but it is a big thing because you're no longer the go-to person. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I know that he has a go-to person that is going to totally take care of him, and she makes him happy. Like that's the most important. What'd you find out?
That I have a really low chance of getting divorced because with every sibling you have, it's a 3% decrease in your divorce chances.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not that it's not like statistical for like people that are only children. Like that's not like statistically significant if you're an only child, but it is for like, you know.
Yeah. So with 6 kids, you're 18% less likely.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Millie, she'll be great.
Yeah. So,
well, but I think that comes back to like a variety of factors, like you said, like modeling what a relationship should be. And our kids, I don't have those. They learn from watching, not from listening. Yeah. So if you're going to tell your kid, obviously, like to, you know, respect themselves and to treat them. But if you're not being respected in your marriage, that's what they're going to learn, that it's okay to be talked to that way.
Modeling matters more than managing. So the more you show things versus tell things, that's why that whole idea of do as I say, not as I do is so stupid, right? Because if I'm out there like screaming at everybody and then I tell the kids, oh, you can't raise your voice.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like that's never going to work.
No, exactly. I think, you know, go back to Jacob's wedding though, for me, first of all, this being like, I really think this is my first American wedding.
Not even in America.
True. But like I'm thinking like the one that I can like cognizant for, like I guess I was at like her best friend wedding. I was like a child, like 3. And then like I always joked with my friend group that I refuse to get married first because I don't know what a wedding's supposed to look like. So someone else has to get married first so I can know what to do. It's exciting for me, but like honestly thought it was going to be a way bigger deal in my life when my siblings got married. I thought it was going to be like, oh my God, like this is crazy. And it's just like, yeah, I get to go to Spain. Cool. Get to wear a nice dress. That's awesome. Get to hang out with people that I really love. That's awesome.
I think the more exciting part, is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
The part that was more exciting to me was when they got engaged, because and I was like, okay,
she's permanent in our family. And I guess, yeah, like it's already just felt like I've had an extra sister for a while now. Because I think like within the first year, I knew that they were very, very serious.
Yeah.
So
I think they knew first date, honestly. And that's how your dad and I were. We knew first date. So he actually told his friends that this is the girl I'm going to marry.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and some people don't know right away. I mean, some people, I was watching something the other day and the husband said that he knew right away, and she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, wait, you didn't? And she said no, and he's like, well, how long? She's like, well, I don't know, a little bit. Like, he's like, well, like a month? Like, she's like, well, maybe like a year. And he was like, oh my God. Like,
well, that's like the whole idea of like people saying I love you at the same time. Someone's going to be faking it because there's no way that both of you fell in love exactly at the same time. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, all that stuff is, it just depends, and everybody's different. But it is interesting to watch. So when my parents got married, it was a very interesting time. So both my parents were in medical school. My dad had moved from Germany. He actually got an internship in New Jersey. He boarded the boat, and this was in the 1950s. And so his parents were still in Germany. My mom's parents, well, my mom's dad had passed away while she was in college, and her mom lived in rural Pennsylvania. And my mom grew up Catholic. My dad was Jewish. My mom converted to Judaism before she married my dad, and they decided this is way too confusing. We're not inviting anybody. We're going to get married by a rabbi by ourselves. And so they didn't invite anybody, but my dad's mother showed up anyways.
Yeah.
And so every picture I have of them from their wedding is the 3 of them, which just cracks me up. That it's like that idea of being able to let go, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, I would always want to be invited to my child's wedding, even if they thought, oh, she's not going to love this, which I am, because if my kids are happy, I'm happy.
Yeah. And I feel like, just accept your kids.
Accept your kids. Exactly. Accept your kids. I mean, I think
because they're going to suck if you don't. And they're going to figure themselves out if you do. Like, I can promise you, like, not everything's a phase, but like most of the things that you feel negative about are a phase. Like, I used to do a full face of makeup every single day to school. Literally so much makeup every single day. That you guys hated. And I know you guys hated it. Dad hated when I wore dark lipstick.
You wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. And look at me now. I barely wear makeup. And I know that's like a silly example, but it's like, you know, in these more serious situations, it's literally never worth pushing your kid away for, because honestly, like, if there's one thing a kid can do, it's hold a grudge against a parent.
Yeah, and you never know how things are going to go. I mean, I know your dad's parents liked me, but I was a kid. I mean, I was 18 when we started dating. I was 21 when we got married, and I'm sure they thought, this isn't going to last, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what they actually thought?
Yeah.
But they could have made that choice to just not accept me and say, like, this is ridiculous, but they didn't, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that also, you know, that is another reason marriages don't last, because families push away the new person. They don't invite them in. And it's like, not that you have to, like, this is my new best friend. Obviously not. But like, you know, how are so-and-so doing? How are both of you? Or like, it's even as simple as that. Like, you know, dad asks me at least once a week, how's Jack doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's really like that simple. Or like, you know, like if you're hosting a Thanksgiving and make sure the other person is obviously invited, and just like not being, you know, rude, because your kid is making their own family and it's going to be their choice if you're going to be a part of it or not. And you want to be, so might as well embrace the new family they have.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I think that, again, that comes down to when parents can't accept, and it's kind of two-tiered. It's like they can't accept that their child is getting married, and they can't accept the person that they're marrying.
Yeah.
And I think both of those, they're not our choice, right? I mean, I feel like if I've taught my children, which I've taught my children my entire life, that here are the things that are important, I haven't seen them actually fully embrace something that hasn't been a good thing. Sure, have they tried lots of stupid shit? Yes. I mean, they're kids. I mean, I did too. But when it came down to it, like at the end of the day, they were like, oh, these are my morals, these are my values, and this is what matters. And I know that's not always the case. I know that there are situations where kids get stuck in a bad situation, and they just can't find their way out of it. But I feel like that's what's worked for us, is that, you know, we have modeled what we think is really important, and sometimes we model what not to do. I mean, again, I still do stupid shit, and I still have my stupid freakouts about stuff.
But that's like a, you know,
what not to do moment.
Yeah, reassuring your parents are human too. Okay, I want to first I want to ask you one question, and then I want to ask you a rapid fire series of questions about your kid's wedding.
Okay.
First, what do you do if you genuinely dislike the partner and there's a pretty good reason? Do you wait till your kid figures it out, or no?
And the kid doesn't know the reason? The kid doesn't know, like, there's an issue? Because I know that exists too, where parents find out something about
like, you know, like the partner is just like fucking rude to you. They are just rude to you every time they go to the house. They leave their dishes everywhere. They don't offer to clean up ever. They're just demeaning in conversation, and they're demeaning to your kid. What do you do?
I think you talk directly to the partner.
Okay.
And then you talk to the two kids together.
Okay.
Because I think if you instantly talk to them together, your child is going to get defensive for the other person. But I think if you bring it up first with the other person and say, here's what I'm seeing, and this is not how we do things here, and how can I help you feel like you're more a part of the family? Yeah. And these are like certain basic expectations. And if that doesn't work, then you say it together and just say, here, guys, this is what I'm struggling with. Like, I feel like we've been really, like, we're thrilled to have you here and all these things, but this isn't how exactly we do things. And how can we make you feel like you're part of the group?
Damn, that's really good, Mom. Like this, instead of just like instead of just like being first, like, why are you at? Like, that's a really great way to model that conversation, because I feel like I read a lot of negative stories online of like, I don't know how to confront the situation. Do I just go straight in? And, you know, sometimes you just don't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think you want to be inclusive first and then talk about the issues. But if you instantly go jump, the person's going to get obviously defensive, because that's what we do as humans. We put up this shield. And if you say to them that you want them there, like, that's not the issue, then I think it becomes a different conversation. Okay. What are my rapid fires?
Should the bride wear white? Yes or no?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Should exes be invited to weddings?
No.
Even if they're close family friends?
No.
Okay. Good answer.
Because it makes the other person feel uncomfortable. Right? Okay. Yeah. It makes the partner feel uncomfortable. That's not fair.
Kids at weddings?
It depends.
I think there's a correct answer, and it's ceremony, yes. Reception, no. Yeah. Maybe cocktail hour, but once it hits 7, absolutely get out. You're, you know.
Unless they're like grown up enough where they can really enjoy it. But if there's going to be a meltdown and...
Yeah, but even like 12 to... It depends on your kid, obviously. But okay, I'll say like 9 to 13. They're not going to have a good time unless there's other kids there. But it depends on the kid you have.
Want to be there.
That. You need to...
So it's better to have them... If they're part of the ceremony, great. And if they're not, you find a babysitter at the hotel to take care of the kids, and they can have fun watching a movie while you have fun at the reception.
And I promise you, they will enjoy the room service and the movie way 100%. More. Oh my God. Okay. Wearing white to a wedding as a guest.
No.
Never okay? Well, for an American wedding, obviously.
It's the bride's day. Like, why are we taking away from the bride?
How much white, though? Like, can it be like, where's the line? I think the line is, if you have to think about it, don't wear it.
Right. I mean, anything solid white or anything solid cream color. I mean, if you're wearing like a flower dress that has some white in it, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think the golden ratio is like maybe 75% color, 25 white. If you're going for something like that.
But if you have to think about it, you're right.
Yeah. Like if you have to think about it, yeah.
But I have seen moms wear a completely white outfit. I'm like, it's not your wedding.
Girl, you already did that. Yeah. If you want a vow renewal, have your husband, like, do one. Or have your wife pay for one. Like, whoever is involved in your life, whatever. Dry or open bar?
Open bar.
Okay, open bar or tickets?
Open bar.
But don't you think there's a risk of someone getting too drunk?
Yeah, but you arrange, like, you have things where you're like, you're gonna Uber, right? You're not.
So that's what you're not worried about people embarrassing themselves.
Oh, you're worried. That's on them. Until you actually have like the ceremony. Yeah, champagne, sure, but like a full open bar before. People were doing shots before we even got there. Like, it was like, okay, good job. My dad did a good job. He made sure everybody had enough to drink, for sure.
Yeah. Well, should parents automatically get a say in the guest list?
Should parents automatically get a say? I think that they should be able to invite a few people, but I think it should be like for Jake and Abby's wedding. It's really what they want to do. Now, we asked for a few people that they may, no, they would invite everybody that we wanted.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, they would have, it wasn't like an ask on your end, because they also did a destination wedding.
So yeah, and it's a destination wedding. Like, we're not going to ask our friends from here to go all the way to Spain for a wedding. Like, that's just not going to happen. And part of the reason they wanted a destination wedding is they wanted it to be about them, which I think is important.
And not a family reunion, because that's usually what weddings turn into,
I mean, our wedding, there were 250 people there. I knew maybe, I don't know, 50 at most. And most of them were relatives. Like, it was all of my parents' friends and all of Rob's parents' friends. And we spent the whole time thanking people for being there, to the point where we literally did not sit down to eat. So when we left the wedding, we drove through the Burger King drive-thru in my dress and in his tux and ordered Whoppers, because
so that's actually hungry. Insane. And I think about that a lot. Yeah. And definitely don't do that.
Hopefully that made someone laugh, because we were hungry. We needed a Whopper.
Okay. Is it tacky to ask for cash gifts over a wedding registry? Like they do the honeymoon funds now, or the house funds.
I don't think so. I think that you can have those funds, because you need furniture. And younger people don't want all the stuff anymore. They don't want the china. They don't want the silver. And
now we inherit that.
Right. And they don't even want it if they inherit it. So I think that, you're a rare breed. But I think that having a fund, I think is, you're a rare breed. Having a fund, I think, is actually kind of a nice thing, because that you can use it where you see fit, or where you want it.
Does the bride have to change their name?
No.
Okay. That's I completely, I agree with that.
Personal preference. It doesn't change the state of being married or not being married. You can do whatever you want.
I like this one. If you're not inviting someone to the wedding, should you tell them?
Are they a really close friend?
Well, it's not like a Jacob-sized wedding where it's like he's not inviting anybody. Like, you're doing a big one,
I don't think it's not your job to tell someone that you didn't want to invite.
But how do you, I don't even want to get into that. That's not even a fun conversation to have.
2 more questions.
Prenup, smart move or prepping for failure?
I think it's a smart move these days.
Hell yeah.
I think
based off statistics, it's not, your marriage isn't going to end because you get a prenup. However, if you do get divorced, which there, at least from the stats I know, is a 1 in 2 chance, your life will probably be pretty fucked up if you don't get a prenup. I say as a pre-law student or law student.
Yeah, and I think that also a prenup, if you're doing it based on what you're bringing in to the marriage, saying like what we bring in is still our own when we leave, and then you decide about the other things differently, then that's
I think finances in a marriage are so unique to yourself, but I don't think there's anything selfish, wrong, doesn't show that you don't love the individual. I mean, like, marriage is obviously more than just a business agreement, but at its bare bones, you are just signing a contract to stay in a partnership for the rest of your life. So it is just a business agreement. And you know what? In a business agreement, you're protecting your assets. So
last question.
Be honest.
Okay.
Have you ever judged someone's wedding for being cheap?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again,
you don't have to follow up if you don't feel like being mean. I'm just
no, I'm just gonna say, like, when you ask the question about tickets,
invite less people, get an open bar.
Invite less people, bring your own wine, bring your own alcohol. That
there's actually such great options now to find bartenders that a lot of them don't have, like, or bartending services that don't have liquor licenses, so they can't bring their own and they can't provide it. So it's much cheaper on your end then because you buy the liquor ahead of time. Yeah. There's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
I just saw a video about that today.
But again, like, it should be about you. It should be about what you want.
Yeah.
And not about anybody
else. Do you really, and maybe you do, want 250 people there, or do you want an open bar?
Or maybe you can have both. Depends on your situation.
Yeah, that one of the questions on the list was, is it worth it to spend $30,000 on a singular day of your life? First of all, I think weddings cost way more than $30,000 now.
I've been to some that are.
To me, it's like such a split thing in my life as someone that is far away from marriage, but like I think about weddings. Hard.
My parents offered for us to take the cash versus have the wedding. We chose to have the wedding. Now, if I could go back in time, I would say have a very small family affair and take the cash.
And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I don't love people anyways.
It wasn't my thing.
I don't love people. But then it's like, oh, you only get married once. But it's like, I only do a lot of things once, and we're not celebrating those with. I think in the end of the day, your wedding should be about what you want. I think Jacob and Abby, they've done a really good job about planning the wedding. I mean, some hiccups, obviously.
Like, I think that it just depends on what you want in your own life, and nobody else should tell you how you should have what you should do for your own wedding.
Unless you're like absolutely breaking the bank, and then someone should probably step in and don't take it personally if they do. And it's like, girl, you can't afford that.
People will take out huge loans to have a wedding, and then they're paying these loans off for a really long time, and it adds so much stress to the beginning of a relationship.
But it's like you could always do like a vow renewal later down the line with all of the extravaganza that you would like.
Yeah. You never know.
That's definitely something like Jacob and Abby have done a really good job at keeping what they want for their wedding. Like, it's their wedding, and I think that's pretty reflective in it.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that they planned the whole thing. They wanted to be in charge, and they did it all, and I can't wait to be there. Okay.
Yeah, you're so excited because you're going to plan my entire wedding.
I am so excited.
The joke is, like, you're going to have to plan mine. Or just not. I'm just not going to do it.
And I got multiple dresses to wear. Like, I've got all kinds of stuff going on. Very exciting.
Your emotions and your talk are dance partners. So they got to get along.
Your emotions and your talk. So the way you feel should be the way you talk about stuff, right?
I'm actually really bad about that because I don't want to hurt people's feelings ever. So I keep things in. When I should just be like, bro, that actually wasn't very chill of you, and move on.
Okay, well, that's for another day.
Yeah.
Okay, confidence tip. And this has to do with weddings, because why not? Watching your child get married can stir up all kinds of emotions. But remember, their big moment doesn't mean your role is over. Confidence in this season looks like trusting how you've raised them, embracing the shift. Embrace the shift. Knowing that letting go is a sign of strength, not loss. 100% agree. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just got a text from a friend that was about underestimating yourself, and her being like, wait, why have I been doing that? So my final thought will be stop underestimating yourself on a completely different note.
Okay. Completely different note.
Stop doing that.
That's That's a whole.
You're better than you think you are. I can promise you that.
Okay, whole different episode.
Weddings should be fun. I'll let you know after my first one.
Yeah. We'll have a follow-up episode.
Well, I'll do a comparison, Indian wedding versus an American wedding. I'm sure, no offense to Jacob and Abby, but
it's just a little different.
Very.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. Always remember, you are unshakable.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.